What if you found out that retirement planning isn't expensive because you chose the wrong advisor, but because most people pay for it in pieces? These pieces could come from an investment fee, a CPA bill, legal costs when something changes, or even healthcare decisions that create expenses no one ever labeled as a fee. Each one on its own seems reasonable, but together they often tell a very different story. Today, we'll be talking about why retirees who don't bundle their retirement planning, they could end up paying or overpaying, not because they made bad decisions, but because no one ever brought the whole retirement picture together. Eye on Retirement starts right now.
In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Welcome into Eye on Retirement. I'm your host, Matt Goolsby, and this is something I see every single week. People who are thoughtful, call them successful. They're often very analytical. And what they've done is they've hired different professionals and they're asking good questions. Many are even using AI to educate themselves. But here's the deal. They're still frustrated because the total cost of their retirement plan doesn't feel clear. And here's why. Most retirees don't pay for retirement planning in one place. They pay for it in pieces, itemized like a receipt. They see an advisory fee for the investments, a separate CPA bill for tax preparation and planning, legal invoices when documents are created or maybe even updated as your life changes, and healthcare decisions that can create penalties or long-term care costs no one anticipated. Each professional, they might be doing their job well, and the issue isn't necessarily bad advice. The point I want to make to you is it's unbundled advice. Our approach is different. We serve as the primary fiduciary advisor and bring investment managers, tax planning, healthcare guidance, and estate coordination together under one advisory relationship. Under one roof, not to add to complexity, but in chance to reduce it. We do this so the total cost is clear for you. The decisions are coordinated, and someone is actually responsible for how all the pieces work together. That distinction, it really matters, because when planning is fragmented, costs tend to hide in those gaps. And today we're going to walk you through these three core retirement areas where unbundled retirement planning can quietly cost retirees more. Those areas: Medicare decisions, healthcare costs, long-term care costs, and finally the big one, estate planning. So when we come back after the break, we'll hear a bit more about those Medicare decisions from Cory Hiebert. He's one of our health insurance advisors from Market Medical Insurance. Stay tuned for more Eye on Retirement. We'll be right back after this short break.
Out on the water, there is a moment. Perfect synchronization. The team working together in harmony to reach their goal. Now, imagine finding a team of financial professionals to help run your course down the river of retirement. Market Advisory Group is that team. Financial advisors, tax professionals, estate planning attorneys, and Medicare advisors. All in the same boat. If you don't have a team like this in one place, it can become a hassle to relay information between them. When you come to Market Advisory Group, we bring everyone together for you. To get you answers in real time. To help make sure you don't miss something that puts your unique plan off course. You shouldn't be the one doing all the work to keep your retirement on pace. You should have a team in the boat with you. Your voice telling them where you're at, where you'd like to end up, and how you want to get there. And at that point, everyone falls into sync, all pulling in the same direction, toward the same purpose. Your retirement's financial security. We are Market Advisory Group, proud sponsor of Shocker Rowing.
Joining me now is Cory Hiebert, one of our health insurance advisors here with Market Medical Insurance. Thanks for joining me today, Cory. You know, Medicare is a great example, in my opinion, of how costs don't always show up as that fee, but they can be very expensive. So tell us, specifically with like Medicare timing mistakes, how those mistakes can cost people more.
Yeah, Matt. Well, the Medicare timing mistakes can be really, really, really tricky. And the problem with it is that one little mistake can cost you for the rest of your life and the entire time while you are on Medicare. And when we talk about Medicare timing mistakes, it is not just one area. It's not about when do I sign up for Medicare. It also depends on when you take a Medicare supplement and when you have to underwrite and when you don't have to underwrite. It can depend on the Medicare Part D or the prescription drug penalties and when you need a prescription drug plan versus when you don't. And of course, it also has to do with when do you sign up for Medicare Part A and when do you sign up for Medicare Part B.
Well, there's those penalties where I hear a lot of people say, well, I've got to sign up. I know there's a penalty, and it's that 3 months before they turn 65 or 3 months after. Is that window? Is that correct?
To an extent, and for some people, but as you very well know, Medicare is not a one-size-fits-all and a rubber stamp that everybody can get the same exact advice. And Matt, it's just like with you guys, there are different products and different mixes that you guys set up for people. And I don't know what the right mix is or what the right proportions are on that. And it would be ridiculous to expect a financial advisor to be on top of what all of the different windows are. What is a 63-day window? What's the 90-day window? What's the 6-month rule? Like, there are so many different Medicare timing mistakes that can be made. It's impossible for
someone to navigate on their own oftentimes, right?
Absolutely.
Impossible might be too strong a word, but it's very challenging. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I hear sometimes people will say, well, I'm still working. I'm turning 65. I've got to sign up for Medicare. But if they have insurance at work, that's not always the case, right?
You're absolutely right. That is not the case that if you are continuing that work insurance, that you have to take Medicare at 65. That is one of those very small loopholes that throws a wrench in the Medicare timing mistakes and the Medicare windows that we were talking about earlier.
But I want to be cautious about saying, well, if your employer has health insurance, you don't need to worry about the Medicare penalty, because some employer plans are not what's called credible coverage. And then some employers, like small groups, they'll kick people off at 65, and you might want to keep working until 67 or 66 and work past you turning 65. That's where we have to have you guys come in, because you guys know this system better than us as financial advisors. And I want to make sure I'm taking care of my clients, but also I don't know all this stuff.
Yeah, there are all of these tiny little mistakes that can be made along the way. And I'm working with a gentleman right now who is at a company of 5. And those companies of 5, their group isn't large enough to be what Medicare considers creditable coverage. So he is that exact situation that you just talked about, where he's being forced onto Medicare, even though he is having the option to stick with that employer coverage because it's not creditable.
So you're telling me that Medicare is a government healthcare program, and government makes things simple, so don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry about.
Man, you are just reading between the lines this morning. You are on top of it.
So now I want to get into IRMA. It wouldn't be an Eye on Retirement episode if we didn't talk about IRMA. But IRMA, that to me, I call that a sneaky tax, because it has to do with what your income was 2 years ago. And if you're not understanding that your income can impact what you pay for your Medicare premiums, that's like a fee.
Yeah, and Matt, it sounds really counterintuitive with what you do, but there are two times where I have to go down and talk to a financial advisor and say, hey, it is very important that although we have a high earner here, at least for this 1 year, we need to try to keep that income below certain thresholds. And that's whenever we're dealing with somebody getting ready to start Medicare and IRMA, and also whenever we're dealing with ACA clients, because that can determine how much of a advanced premium tax credit they are receiving.
So what I'm hearing is it's pretty important, whether you're on the ACA or you're on Medicare, it's pretty important to have a coordinated team to help you make sure you're not triggering those thresholds and costing yourself more money for your health insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have that conversation with clients all the time where I say, hey, we're out of my depth here. I don't know how we're going to help keep your income low, or if there is a strategy to help keep that income low. So let me walk down the hallway and talk to one of the advisors here and see what we can do.
So why I want to focus on why it's so important to be proactive. I'm talking to my planners out there, the people that you don't want to be caught surprised and have these IRMA charges hit you, or maybe even penalties from Medicare. So why are these decisions often irreversible?
Well, they're irreversible because the government said they're irreversible.
Okay, because they say so. Done.
The small mistakes or the misconceptions whenever we start to deal with Medicare, even if you miss one of these deadlines by 1 month, these are penalties that stick with you for the rest of your life. And it's Medicare's way of preventing adverse selection, or people only selecting those benefits whenever they feel like they need them. It's making sure everybody pitches into the pot. And if you're not pitching into that health insurance pot, Medicare does make you catch up. And it's not a very quick catch up, and it's a catch up that sticks with you for the rest of your time on that health benefit.
So I was messing with AI the other day, and I said, if someone were to do a Roth conversion and it triggers IRMA, whose responsibility is it to fix that? Is it the financial advisor, or is it the Medicare person? Or typically it's the retiree's responsibility, right? I mean, that's AI. AI couldn't tell me which professional was really supposed to fix that.
Yeah, Matt, and that's where I look at my Medicare beneficiaries frequently during our first or second appointments, and I say, hey, listen, this is your first time signing up for Medicare, so I'm going to give you a break because you didn't know all of the tiny ins and outs. But that's true. They have one opportunity. It's the only time that they ever do it, and that's why we have these professionals here that handle those circumstances.
So this is exactly what we're talking about. Nothing can be done wrong, but it's without the coordination, the outcome can still be costly. So thank you for this valuable insight, Cory. When we come back, we'll talk with Kimberly Sixkiller about healthcare costs, specifically long-term care, and why avoiding these conversations can be one of the most expensive decisions retirees make. We'll be right back.
Retirement is supposed to be exciting, the reward for decades of hard work. But for many, it starts with a flood of questions. When should I take Social Security? How will taxes change when I stop working? What do I need to know about Medicare? And what happens to everything I've built when I'm gone? Retiring isn't just about leaving work. It's about stepping into a whole new season of life and making sure you're ready for it. That's why there's retirementhelp.com. A free online resource built specifically for people just like you. Clear, trustworthy information on the decisions that shape your retirement. RetirementHelp.com is here to empower you with the resources and education you need to retire with ease. What sets RetirementHelp.com apart from other resources is how we view retirement planning. We believe it takes a team, because taxes can affect Medicare costs, and finances can affect estate planning. We take a holistic approach to retirement, so you don't have to bounce around like a pinball to get your questions answered. We have articles designed to answer questions you may have, webinars that dive deeper into topics like Social Security and taxes in retirement, videos, TV shows, and podcasts exploring real-life issues retirees have run into, as well as daily updates addressing changes in the retirement landscape. Don't let doubt keep you up at night wondering if you're ready or not. Visit retirementhelp.com today and start planning the retirement you deserve.
Joining me now is Kimberly Sixkiller, who focuses on healthcare costs and long-term care planning here at Market Advisory Group. Kimberly, this is often the most uncomfortable conversation and sometimes can be the most expensive one. And so why is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the reason it becomes the most uncomfortable is because people do not realize the large unplanned expense that comes into that retirement. So they think, oh, I've got all this money set aside, it's going to take care of me. And they're not thinking about the fact that while they may be able to stay in their home, they may need someone to come in and help with daily activities of living. And so, not wanting to really tackle the I can't just take care of myself forever can really get in the way of that reality.
Well, and of course, Medicare will pay for your long-term care.
Absolutely, right?
That's
No,
sarcasm. No.
that is absolutely, that is one of the biggest misnomers. People think I'm on Medicare, they'll take care of it. The reality is Medicare has some short-term assistance, but once you go over a certain number of days, they say you're no longer in a short-term assistance. We're more in a maintenance option, and they say we're not paying anymore. And if Medicare doesn't pay, your supplement, your Advantage plans stop paying as well. And so now you're in a situation where you need help and you need to go into a
Full-time
facility.
facility, yeah.
Yeah, some kind of facility or stay at home. And now we have to look at almost $10,000 or more a month to get assistance.
So my father's an advisor here at Market Advisor Group, and he said this, and I'm paraphrasing. He said most retirees will spend more on the last days of their life in healthcare scenarios than they did probably in the preceding lifetime before that incident happens, that end of life care being the most expensive, right?
Yep. Statistically, almost 30% of the healthcare expenses that you spend are in that end of life. And when we look at the population, more than 70% of the people who are over the age of 65 need some kind of long-term care assistance.
Wow, that's a staggering
It's
statistic.
a huge statistic. And then people, what they have a very far-reached idea of long-term care is they think, oh, long-term care is I'm just in a nursing home, I'm in a facility. The truth is it's any kind of assistance that you need daily, whether that's in the home, someone bringing you some kind of meal, someone helping bathe you. There's so many things that we need assistance with that don't require us to be actually confined into a facility.
So we'll be talking with Gerald here later about estate planning, and I know this happens in estate planning, but sometimes people, they don't want to talk about the bad what ifs that could happen, and really that's emotional avoidance versus a financial reality. And people really need to take a look at this and say, hey, what are my risks here and how do I manage them?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because most of the people that we talk to, they want to do right by their loved ones. They want to take care of them. They want to help protect them from when they pass and how things are going to distribute to their heirs, but they don't want to look at the elephant in the room and go, well, what happens when I can't fully take care of myself anymore? And so that avoidance of if I talk about it, it's going to make it happen will cause the problems where they go, okay, now we had a family just last week that they didn't really plan for it. And so now their daughter, who has a young baby at home, is having to take off work and also find someone to help care for their child because now mom can't be home alone. And so not having those discussions, not having that planning can really affect the people that you're trying to protect.
So in that scenario, and we've seen that happen time and time again, we call it the sandwich generation, where they're taking care of a parent and they're taking care of their kid and they're sandwiched in the middle there. Obviously, that's not an ideal place to be. But if someone could have go in your time machine, go back in time, if someone could have helped that couple with some long-term care planning, maybe they could have had a policy that helped cover someone coming in the home and taking care of them, and the daughter could live their life.
Absolutely. So the reality today is long-term care insurance looks so much different than it did even a decade ago. And so one of the things that packaging and bundling this with your financial advisors and your Medicare planners is they say, hey, let's talk to someone about what's available out there. And so even in your 40s and your 50s, there are insurance options that say, okay, whether or not there's some kind of accident that causes you to need long-term care assistance, or you have some kind of illness or diagnosis, we can get you an option where you're in control. You decide, do I get that assistance in the home? Not, hey, you're not sick enough to need this help. We don't have to be forced into an assisted living facility or a retirement home to get the help we need from the insurance plans that we put in place.
Now, you and I are working with a couple this week. I'm not going to use their names, but he already has some health things going on.
Yeah.
I knew that. He probably cannot qualify for traditional long-term care, but working with the financial advisor and the estate plan altogether, why is healthcare planning, why does it have to align with the investments in estate planning?
The biggest thing about the alignment is honestly just the reality that there is more available out there than what a traditional healthcare planner may tell you, right? And so if I didn't have the access to advisors such as yourself, I may not have the full reality that there are products available that even after I'm diagnosed with cancer, I may still be able to purchase to plan for my long-term care. It used to be if I'm not healthy, I can't have it, and that's just not the reality anymore.
And I think a lot of people disqualify themselves when they really don't understand there is different strategies and tools out there. This gentleman in particular that we're meeting with, he has some back issues. And I mean, like, that's really, I think, dare I use the term, his pain.
Yep.
And that's what he wants to try and mitigate. But he would not qualify for a traditional long-term care policy.
Absolutely. There are just certain things that once you have that diagnosis, once you have that in your medical records, the reality is those life insurance care, they have to manage risk, right? And so once you have something like a chronic back pain, some kind of history of heart, they are going to go, we can't do that.
Right.
Well, when you're looking at a product that is built based on your resources as well. So we look at things like, hey, I've got money sitting in retirement plans. I've got IRAs and different things. And they say, okay, well, you're taking some of that risk and going, I'm going to invest some money. Then we go, all right, we can get you further. We can get you into these options that will help you when you need assistance. And oh, by the way, if you never need assistance, if you're lucky enough that you are young and spry until you pass, or unlucky in the fact that there's an accident that takes you unplanned, something pays either way. It goes to your beneficiaries. It goes to your loved ones. You're not just giving it to a company.
Yeah, so this is where Kimberly's work and my work come together. Helping families manage not just the cost of care, but the risk of care disrupting everything else they've planned. Up next, we'll talk about estate planning with Gerald Eidelman of Eidelman Law Firm and what happens when these decisions aren't coordinated at all.
Every client we work with deserves a custom-made plan to fit them.
We can take any situation that's thrown in front of us, look at what fears they may be, trying to work through it, and come up with very creative solutions.
We are unique to people that are seeking to try to have the complex things more simple.
We work together as a team. As an advisor, it'll come up with tax questions. It's great to have a CPA here in the office that can answer those questions and give them accuracy.
Market Advisory Group, proud to be local.
I need a place to go to see about my investments. Ask my friends if they know about holistic retirement. Everything in one place. Estates, taxes, and Medicare. People meeting face to face. Advisors to help me get there.
At Market Advisory Group. Retirement under one roof. At Market Advisory Group. We're invested in you.
Joining me now is Gerald Eidelman, an estate planning attorney we work closely with at Eidelman Law Firm. Gerald, many people think estate planning is a one-time event, but I know the difference because in reality, it often fails when it's not coordinated.
That's correct. I mean, if you just set it and forget it, you're going to have troubles. The reality is that life changes, people move out of state, people that you were expecting to rely on pass away. And if you just let it sit there and do nothing to update it, you're going to wind up in trouble. Laws change, and that could create a significant amount of headache for your heirs.
So this week's theme on the show has been coordination. Not only can it sometimes save you fees from not paying for all these different advisors, but to me, costly mistakes are like a different kind of fee in retirement. And estate planning documents created in isolation, what are the dangers there? I know you have a story for me.
Yeah, I mean, creating an estate plan in isolation without coordinating with the financial planner can create significant troubles. I had a couple who had a financial advisor outside of our group, and they wanted to do some Medicaid asset protection. So we set up a trust for the purpose of doing that. They had land holdings and other things that we wanted to put in the trust. We created the trust. We were almost put it inside the trust. And lo and behold, here comes the financial advisor. Oh, no, we don't want to do that because we had this plan that we leave this land out as a way to ameliorate problems later on. So it'd be a cash cow for the spouse.
Okay.
Had I put it in the trust, we would have been in trouble because we couldn't have taken that out. The fact that nobody communicated to me that this was something even considered as part of their long-term goals,
Retirement plan.
Created a costly mistake in some ways because we did a lot of work that really wasn't as effective as it should have been.
So the cost is really confusion, conflict, and lack of clarity is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
And so when you have that disconnection, that's where it can really hurt someone. And you did catch this in time, correct?
Yes. We were able to hold back the properties before putting them in. But the plan that we set up was not as effective as we wanted to be because they had a different plan in place.
So it's not the fact that they didn't plan, it's because no one ever explained how these pieces all interact. And that's what I see every week. I see retirees out there trying to be the middleman and go between their tax person, their financial advisor, their estate planning attorney, maybe their Medicare person. So if today's conversation, if it sounds familiar, here's the next step. Call us at 833-44-CORE4, and you can schedule a 15-minute chat with us by phone. After that chat, if it makes sense to move forward, we'll provide you at the end of step 2 a retirement risk review. There's no obligation. There's no preparation required for this first step. We'll walk you through how your retirement planning is currently structured and help you see whether bundling your strategy actually makes sense. And just so this is clear, good planning only works when it's appropriate. If it isn't, we'll say so. That's part of our responsibility. So again, to schedule that 15-minute chat with us by phone, call 833-44-CORE4 to get started. I'm Matt Goolsby, reminding you that we're here to keep an eye on retirement.